Have you ever felt guilty about something you deep down know you didn't do? Have you ever found yourself apologizing, even without understanding why? Have you ever tried to fix a situation that the other person clearly created, but somehow convinced you that the blame was yours? If so, you have been manipulated by a narcissist, and you may not have even realized it. This is the most insidious part of narcissistic behavior. They don't yell to dominate you. They distort reality. They sow doubt. They rewrite the facts while you are still trying to understand what happened. And they do this with chilling precision because they study your vulnerabilities. They know where to poke. They know how to make you question your own perception. Carl Jung stated that what we do not confront in ourselves, we end up encountering as fate. For the narcissist, this means never looking inward, never admitting fault, never taking responsibility. So what do? They project. They transfer onto you everything they cannot stand in themselves: insecurity, shame, fear of rejection, repressed anger. You become the mirror and pay the price for reflecting a truth they refuse to see. And this projection does not come alone. It is accompanied by a series of carefully calibrated emotional manipulation tactics designed to keep you submissive, confused, and emotionally exhausted. One of the most common is gaslighting, a term that comes from an old play in which the husband gradually dims the house lights while convincing his wife that she is imagining things. The goal? To make her doubt her own sanity. The narcissist does the same. They deny conversations that happened, twist facts, minimize your emotions. If you cry, they say you are being dramatic. If you pull away, they say you are being cold. If you react, they say you are crazy. Over time, you start to believe it. You begin to question your memory, your emotions, your boundaries. You start to mold yourself to what they want, just to avoid further conflict. And that's when they trap you for good. Another common mechanism is triangulation, where the narcissist involves third parties, real or imagined, to destabilize you. It could be an ex, a friend, a co-worker. They compare you to these people, suggest that they are better, more understanding, more beautiful, more interesting. And you, already emotionally weakened, try to prove yourself. You try to compete for a place that was already yours, but is now conditioned to your emotional obedience. Manipulation also manifests in the use of guilt. The narcissist will make you feel ungrateful for complaining. They will say that no one has ever done for you what they have done. They will remind you of the times they helped you, even if those helps were disguised exchanges for affection. And the result is predictable. You start to walk on eggshells. You avoid displeasing them, and gradually, you begin to disappear from yourself to fit into their world. But there is an even crueler point. The narcissist knows what they are doing, not always consciously and maliciously, but they feel they are winning when you give in, when you negate yourself, when you doubt yourself. They feel powerful. And that's why the cycle never ends, because as long as you are emotionally unstable, they will feel in control. The good news? Once you understand these dynamics, you start to see the pattern. And when you see the pattern, you begin to free yourself. But before that, it is essential to understand the cost of remaining trapped in this type of relationship. Because the damage caused by a narcissist is not just emotional. It is deep, psychic, sometimes invisible, but always corrosive. In the next part, we will explore the wounds these relationships leave, mental exhaustion, loss of identity, and how the victim's soul begins to disappear without realizing it. If this video resonated with your experience, you'll find real value in my ebook, Beyond the Shadow. It breaks down Jung's key concepts and gives you practical tools to recognize manipulation and heal from emotional abuse. Link is in the pinned comment. Few things destroy as much as being slowly erased without realizing it. Relationships with narcissists do not explode. They corrode. Gradually, without fanfare, without constant shouting. It is an emotional death in slow motion. And when you finally realize, you no longer know who you are. At first, everything seems perfect. Then, tension begins. Next comes the fear of making mistakes, of displeasing, of not being enough. And then, one day, you look in the mirror and do not recognize yourself. Where is that confident, spontaneous, full-of-life person? Where has your intuition, your lightness, your ability to say no, gone? You start to live in a way that avoids emotional explosions, subtle outbursts of anger, punitive silences. And that is exactly where the narcissist wins, when you stop being you to keep the peace with someone who will never give you peace. Carl Jung said that no one becomes enlightened by imagining figures of light, but rather by making the darkness conscious. And what could be darker than a relationship where you are taught, little by little, to distrust your own soul? The psychological impact of living with a narcissist is profound. Many victims develop chronic anxiety, panic attacks, depression. Others show symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, the kind of trauma that does not come from a single event, but from repeated small aggressions over time. Self-esteem is shattered. You start asking for permission to exist, to feel, to have boundaries. And the cruelest part? All of this happens in silence, without witnesses, without visible marks. The wounds are emotional, but the effects are physical. Insomnia, constant fatigue, lack of appetite, hormonal dysregulation. Your body starts to scream what your mind has been trying to say for months or years. You are being destroyed. And when you try to explain to someone outside, the reactions are almost always the same. But he seems so nice. She is so friendly. It can't be that bad. Because the narcissist builds a perfect public image. They are attentive, charismatic, polite to others. And you, who are exhausted, confused, and emotionally shaken, start to doubt yourself once again. To wonder if you are exaggerating, if you are seeing things, if you are too sensitive, exactly how they taught you to think. But there is a brutal truth you need to hear. This is not love. It never was. Love does not hurt your identity. Love does not require you to nullify yourself. Love does not make you live in fear. What you are experiencing is a traumatic bond, an emotional connection built not with affection, but with fear, guilt, and manipulation. And no, you are not weak for falling into this. Narcissists choose empathetic, generous people willing to love deeply. They do not seek just anyone. They seek those who have light, because it is from that light that they feed. If you have been hurt, it was not for being fragile. It was for having value. But now that you see the wounds, the next step is to learn to protect yourself, because the narcissist only has power while you are unaware of their weapons. And when you begin to see clearly, they lose control. In the next and final part, you will discover how to identify these people before they enter your life, and how to emotionally free yourself from the influence they exert. Because understanding the narcissist is the first step. But breaking away from them is what truly gives you back your freedom. The narcissist doesn't come with a warning. He doesn't enter your life shouting, "I'm going to destroy you." He comes smiling, full of charm, with sweet words and seemingly pure intentions. And that's precisely what makes him so dangerous. He doesn't present himself as a threat, but as salvation. Therefore, the first way to protect yourself is to see what previously went unnoticed. It's to develop a clinical eye for the behavioral patterns that reveal the true nature behind the mask. Narcissists do not tolerate frustration. They react with anger, contempt, or punitive silence when contradicted. They do not accept criticism, even constructive criticism, and quickly cast themselves in the role of victims or martyrs. When something goes wrong, the blame is never theirs. When you suffer, they minimize, distort, or blame you. They invert reality so naturally that if you're not careful, you start to believe it. Notice how often you feel insecure around someone. Notice if you need to justify yourself all the time, apologize for having feelings, or walk on eggshells to avoid emotional outbursts. These are not normal dynamics. This is psychological violence, even if there are no screams or physical aggression. Another clear sign is dual behavior. With others, the narcissist is charming. With you, he is cruel, sarcastic, cold. In public, he is the ideal partner. At home, he is unpredictable, demanding, manipulative. He creates this dichotomy precisely so that no one believes you if you try to ask for help. It's a perverse, psychological game, and it works. But recognizing it is just the first step. The hardest and most liberating part is breaking free. Breaking away from a narcissist requires strength, but not the strength to confront him. It requires the strength to put yourself first, to cut contact when possible, to emotionally distance yourself even if you are still physically close, to stop expecting him to change, to regret, to one day understand the harm he caused. He won't. Because, for the narcissist, empathy is a threat. Acknowledging his own mistake would mean accepting a weakness, and that goes against everything he has built. You don't need an apology to move on. You don't need his acknowledgement to validate your pain. What you need is to reclaim your own voice, your own truth, your own worth. Carl Jung said that what we deny submits us, but what we accept transforms us. Accepting that you were manipulated, that you were deceived, that you were hurt, without blaming yourself, is the beginning of true freedom. Because when you understand that the narcissist's behavior speaks about him, not about you, everything changes. The weight lifts off your shoulders, the mental fog dissipates, and you begin, little by little, to reconnect with who you were before the chaos. If you've made it this far, know this: you have already begun to free yourself. Awareness is the key, and the courage to face the truth is the door that returns your life to you. Now I want to know, have you ever gone through something like this? Or do you know someone who needs to hear this message? Share in the comments. Your story can help others see what is still invisible to them. And if this video helped you in any way, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This is not just a gesture, it's a stance. It's you saying, I choose not to remain silent in the face of manipulation. And don't stop here. Watch the next video. It's important. Because knowledge not only frees, it protects. And you deserve to be protected.